There we go. I just wanted to make sure I had the slides. I really don't have a lot of slides because most of the stuff, but um, obviously we are recording, so thank you, Jeff. Obviously, the elephant in the room here is obviously last week, 8 days ago, we all learned about the passing of Lynn Deffenbaugh, our shack potato for the Trail. Appalachian Trail Golden Packet, and also for those of you who come to these regularly, or he was, as I would call it, his intergalactic headquarters down in I think it's Palm Bay, Florida, where he would monitor all the traffic. Could be there 6 o'clock in the morning, watching people driving or approaching. What would be shrieking GP. So he would get feeds of everything. So last Tuesday we had an Irish wake for him. So those of you that attended, it was nice. Lynn's son Paul and one of his good friends Patrick had shown up. So um, this time, if nobody objects, I'd like to at least let's take a moment of silence for Lynn, about 2 minutes, and then we'll open it up if anybody has anything they'd like to share, and then from there we'll move forward and kind of uh, discuss where we want to go. So at this time, we'll just take a moment of silence. I'll give about 2 minutes, and we'll go from there. Thank you. I thank everyone for participating in the moment of silence for Lynn. Um, I think probably everyone here is either in one or more of the groups.io or Google Groups um, boards for the Appalachian Trail Golden Packet, APRS, APRSISCE, APRSISMO, and there's probably more, or on a distro list for the APRS Foundation, et cetera. So been a lot of information out there regarding the passing of Lynn. So I thank you all for the taking about 2 minutes for silence just to think about Lynn. So at this time, if anybody has anything they would like to share or any memories, um, please just unmute your mic and go forward. Otherwise, we'll kind of pick up where we left off last knowledge share. It's all right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I guess I just realized too I didn't send out to the Golden Packet group. I don't know if you guys saw the obituary I wrote
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah. So you did. Would you put it in APRS or?
Yeah, I put it in APRS and I
Yeah,
put
in
it on
memory of Lynn.
APRS
Yeah,
SIG. So
yeah,
I'm just going to send it on the Golden Packet group as well.
yeah.
I hope people don't mind, but
And you could
I
post it
just,
here in the chat.
yeah. All right, so
Yeah.
I sent that there. And then, yeah, there's a couple of links that I'll post in the chat.
I just posted the memory one for APRS Foundation, Lynn or Jeff.
Yeah, yeah, and then I mean, obviously, I want to kind of build things out more, but we have an in memory page on the foundation site,
Mm-hmm.
but we also
Okay.
have an in memoriam section on the Golden Packet website for those that have been involved specifically with our event. But I sent a follow up or and part of the email that I sent out to the APRS SIG and to APRS on groups.io is that if there's anybody else who people would want recognized to have made contributions to APRS um, and is no longer with us, we can always set up a portion of the site for them. I mean, it's one of the easiest things that we can do. The other thing I want to announce too, and I'll make the announcement here first, is that the foundation has granted Lynn the WB4 APR Lifetime Achievement Award. We give it as a membership, basically, in the membership management tool. And then also, I don't know if Lynn has any other kids that are hams. I know his son Paul is a ham, but Paul has a um, lifetime membership for the foundation in memory of his father.
That was nice. Very thoughtful.
So yeah, so we did those things were done for Beth Ann. When we first brought the membership management system up for the foundation, did that for Beth Ann, and then Bob, of course, was the first recipient of his own lifetime achievement award. I mean, I think it's like, the least we can do. It doesn't cost us anything to do it, and it's just a great way to, um,
Yeah.
keep people in remembrance.
Yep. No, I'll very good. Very no questions at all.
Was
Very
was
good.
Lynn's wife a ham?
You know, I don't know. I think she might be.
I think
'Cause
she
I
might
thought I
be as
saw a
well.
van driving around on their property a couple days ago, and it had a call sign. And I looked it up, and it said Marta on there.
Okay, then
That must be his
that's a
wife.
definite. Yeah, come to think of it, I do recall him saying that she's a ham. So okay, so then wife, son, and then how many kids did he have overall? Two, three?
Yeah, I just know the one from when I was down at Fort Myers Beach that his one son lived on the southern part of that island,
Okay.
but I don't know if that's Paul or if he has other sons or
Let me take care of some of this stuff here.
and I checked yesterday, I think if there was like an obituary or anything in the paper anywhere to see if find out, which would have hopefully answered some of those questions.
Let's see here. See anything. There is a Facebook group where it's facebook.com/lynn.deffenbaugh.
Okay.
That would be worth making note of. not to, have a very morose, Lynn was an amazing guy.
Yeah.
I think we all learned an absolute ton from him, and that's what we all get to carry forward. Is the beautiful part of this, right? Is
Yeah.
he was one of the most patient and understanding people I've ever met, and I mean, I don't know that there are really many better people to learn APRS from. I mean, we're lucky to have John Langner be part of the group as well. I mean, also one of the most knowledgeable people in APRS on the planet. I mean, this is. I always said that the Golden Packet. There is no better place to learn about APRS than this group. And between Bob, Lynn, John, all of us, right? All of our contributions, all the things that we do to push APRS beyond the limits. I mean, you get to really see it in action here, and I think and we take it outside of the normal use cases as well. And
Yep.
we have all of us to thank for it. It's not just one or two people; it's all of us who are involved every year. It's amazing. So I
Yeah, and
guess. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Ron.
no, I was just going to say, yeah, it's definitely Lynn for how knowledgeable he is, and how yeah, it's just amazing some of the patience, because I've never been on the extreme tech side of things. I love networking, I love playing with things, but getting in and reading APRS 101, and I remember him talking about he picked it up and he read it until he completed it, and
Yeah,
then he went to bed. He
yeah,
just said, I'm going to learn this, and he did, and then next thing you know, he's writing a program. But with his knowledge and experience, and where I think last to the October knowledge share, I'm like, hey, what are we going to do next? I'm like, hey, let's crash the system, let's do this. And he goes, well, he's like, it won't take long, it will happen, and it'll happen fast, but I like the idea. He goes, because that's how we learn. We
yeah.
always say something will crash it, but can we, in other words, can we systematically crash it? What can we add in, or what can we do to get to where we quote break the system? So just not just it ain't gonna work. He's like, let's go out, let's go out and play too. So I'm not afraid to be able to bring some of that stuff to you, the experts here in the room or on the call.
So there
So
are
Presentation Lynn did, I think, about 2, 3 years ago, where he did all of the, the hows and whys of all of the settings that we use for this event every year.
yeah,
That's just amazing. I don't know how many times I've gone back and watched that, and just every time I learn something new. It's just amazing. What an
yeah,
amazing guy.
yeah.
yeah,
So I think um, one of the things that I've been trying to think of is like any other systems that Lynn may have administered, owned, like Ant Server, for example. I think we need to
yeah,
figure out where that is. Now I've been talking with Pete Lovell, who is like one of the original contributors to the APRS IS, and he kind of made it sound like potentially deprecating Ant Server. Let me see, what did he say here? And just in an email, we see here, oh, CQ server. He runs CQ server email to two lookup servers, who is and who 15. But I think, in terms of anything that Lynn was responsible for, so my understanding is Lynn had told me on a couple of occasions that somebody, some philanthropist, whatever, I can't pronounce it, but was paying for him to have a relatively healthy healthy size server, and he was recording packet logs. But I think that's also where he ran Ant Server and a few other things. And I'm hoping by getting connected with Paul, his son Paul, we can figure out where that is. And I mean, ultimately, love for the foundation to be able to take that over. especially so that, Lynn's family doesn't have to pay for it to keep it going. And, let them stay involved as much or as little as they want with the administration of it, but definitely don't want them to have to shoulder the cost of it.
Nope, that would,
I mean, we're not sitting on a ton of money, but we've got enough in the bank now, and we're like 45 to 60 days away from ARDC making their announcement insofar as the grant proposals. And I mean, I'm optimistic. I don't think it's in the bag by any chance, by any case, but I'm pretty optimistic that we have a good chance. And if that is the case, then we'll be very well resourced financially.
oh, good. And you can start doing some of the things that you and the foundation have been wanting to try to do and move forward with.
So then I guess the big question becomes, how do we hold ATGP 2025 without a shack potato? Do we find somebody else to take,
Yeah,
to
why
take
can't we
over
have
that
a
role?
shack potato?
What's that?
Why can't we have shack potato?
We
Get
can
somebody
have
else
a
to
shack.
do it.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like, I'm asking questions. I'm not making
And-
statements. I'm saying, do we find somebody else to take the role?
Right.
Do we
There's-
try and do the event without one? I
Does there,
mean,
I think basically the way I'm interpreting what Jeff is saying is, well, we're going to continue going forward with the Appalachian Trail Golden Packet, but just like we can't always find somebody to man every site, and it's sometimes down to the last minute.
mhm.
Somebody's going to have to step up to say I can do shack potato. I mean, like for example, I can do it, but I would have to try and figure out how to do it on APRSIS or F or through there, or there's a lot of things Lynn could do that most people can't.
Mhm.
I could easily say, oh, where's this call sign here? But Lynn has the ability to get notifications and notices. So is there somebody that is knowledgeable that would like to do it? I think that's really where we're at. Is there somebody that would want to do it, or something like that? Because I mean, I'd love to do it, but I don't have the knowledge to to do that. And I kind of like going up on the top of a mountain and trying to make connections. So, but maybe between now and the mid spring, somebody will want to do it, or we'll find a way to set something up and automate it. And in theory, people with a good internet connection might be able to see some kind of feeds on their tablet right there on their location. Yeah.
One thing we could do before we decide who does it is we could document what needs to be done by the shack potato.
Yeah, we'd have to know what that is.
Well, we could
but
start
yeah.
working on that immediately.
Yeah. There's some basics in control and understanding. Yeah. I think that's one way to do it. Yes, just like we're talking about. Well, what's the process and what are we looking to try and accomplish in ATGP 2025? What is the essentially, instead of 2 years ago we were trying to do 1,200, and 1,200, 9,600 with and without the appliance. This past year we were, 9,600 with a Kenwood or with the appliance, and had some freedom to move them in and out and to do things or run them somewhat in parallel. So part of setting up what method or what process we're going to be using for 2025, which is what part of the reasons of these knowledge shares is how do you, and what do we actually need from the shack potato? Because Lynn was the shack potato, he wrote the book and he has it. So and will, if his APRSIS 32 servers are still functioning and everything, will hopefully somebody might be able to use that, or he may have something set up there. Who knows? He may have wrote an SOP and have it in his office. So it's a lot of what ifs that hopefully will kind of fill in the blank. But yeah, I think it's a great idea, John. What do we need from? I mean, in essence, should kind of like what's needed for each site as well. But, for the
Right.
most part, each site is almost identical, which is like Jeff makes the site plans for everybody available. And, so everybody knows who's to the left, who's to the right, or north and south, and what frequencies and what we're going to do. And if we were going to be changing frequencies or changing baud rate, we kind of had that, sort of an SOP, but from a standpoint of for what's needed for each location or the hack potato, I don't know if that exists anymore, but that's actually something to consider. If but then again, start telling everybody SOP, sometimes people will find that offensive, because they just want to be able to take their Kenwood or take their radio and get up there and on a wing and a prayer.
Well, a shack
Yeah.
potato is different role than a mountaintop.
I-
And we definitely need some kind of SOP for the shack potato. But the other thing, and Ron, I don't see any reason why, in theory, at least, we couldn't have multiple shack potatoes.
Right. And that's kind of where I was somewhat hinting at, that if we knew if every, where if somebody who had good, decent internet, in theory could have their own tablet or whatever it is and monitoring AP with something like APRS IS32 while they're there. Because in theory, you don't need RF. You can actually have it on a tablet and or a computer. As long as you can stream it, you can get the feeds directly from Lynn's box, which is what I have running on my computer here. I don't get the RF. I only get the APRS IS32 feeds that show up on a screen.
Right. Well, remember, Lynn never had direct RF to any of the
Yeah.
mountains.
Yeah. No, but he got his information because we had eye gates. We had one or
Right.
more eye gates. Yeah. So, and that's how he got his information, that he would see what it was doing, and that was awesome. And he would be because nice thing about what Lynn could do is it really didn't matter what frequency anybody was on, as long as they could get into the internet and the APRS IS sphere of network, then he would be able to see them.
Right.
So, but yeah, so
But Lynn
Yeah.
Shack Potato also had live troubleshoot RF network. So that would be of somebody that was going to be a Shack Potato.
yeah, you broke up a little bit, but you said something about troubleshoot, like helping people on the sites with their RF or the link establishments and things like that.
That's right. They would have to be good at that, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, as I often say, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Obviously we will never have another Lynn, and it's unrealistic to expect that we would have somebody trained up and as knowledgeable as Lynn was by next August. But we proceed with what we have, right?
I mean, yeah, and the bottom line is at some point somebody either steps up and does it, or we try and find a way to, that we can kind of be our own little instead of shack potatoes, site potatoes.
Right.
Because I mean, where I'm at, I have good cell phone coverage, and I could easily, be able to keep, monitor stuff instead. But I think where Jeff was, he had very little internet, if anything, and but unless he gets Starlink or something like that, or a location moves, it's not always there. So
You got to try to recruit Steve Bossert. I think he would be a good job.
why do I know that name?
So he was Sam's Point 2 years ago.
Okay,
K2GOG, I think.
okay, that's probably
Yeah,
another
Steve
name.
is he's very heavily involved with the oh gosh, now his name's gonna elude me. He's a STEM teacher, science, technology, education, math teacher in the Mid Hudson Valley, New York area.
He hosts a really good YouTube channel too. We'll probably see him at Nearfest also. He's usually there. Maybe we can chat with him while he's there and try to convince or the group. So
Yeah, here
Absolutely.
you go.
Yeah, we definitely need a ATGP get together at Nearfest.
Yep. Where's Nearfest at?
Deerfield, New Hampshire.
Okay.
So us New England guys tend to get there, go there. It's twice a year in spring and fall. So when is it? April or something in the spring?
I don't know, I'm
And then you-
thinking it's May. And I
And you
think the
also have
location.
Lobster Fest.
Oh, Lobster Fest. I've been to, that's in my town.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I don't know if
That's
it's
a
Dawn and
QRP.
somebody. Okay.
Yeah, that's
So
a
I know.
QRP festival.
Okay. And I think it was Don and Tim and a couple others would like get there and they would test out some of their equipment before the Appalachian Trail Golden Packet with their appliances.
Nearfest is May 2nd and 3rd. I'm going to post a link in the chat right now.
Okay.
Yeah, where is it this year, John?
Same place as always, Deerfield, New Hampshire, I believe.
Okay.
So in addition to needing and desiring a shack potato for 2025. Now, last week we were and last not last week, last month, we were kind of talking and throwing around a couple different ideas, and I'm not going to go over them all, but essentially it was everything from, a Kenwood only event to a mystery device, I call the Frankenpeter, where, you validate it with somebody else that it's working, and then at our after action or our post event wrap up, we would be able to display your mystery device, but based on things. So we talked about what other things we could do into it in terms of, could you do any kind of mess instead of just setting it up, but start simulating and maybe getting people to simulate through hikers, say they come up and they beacon and start putting a position out there, even if it's just a, beacon their position on APRS on that channel, or actually trying to send a message, simulate sending a message to a loved one or something, so trying to find people who may not want to go up on a mountaintop, but may want to participate in some way, shape, or form. So those are some of the things that we had kind of talked about last time. So, so I think trying to figure out which way we want to go. We're not, we don't have to decide today. We didn't decide, October, November today, but we at some point we as a group will have to look at what's, because there's also a change. There may be a change in the site based on the Helene. I can't remember I think he's on here. Is it Glenn was the works with the Appalachian Trail? Somebody works with the Appalachian Trail Conservatory or
No, not me.
no, okay. Yeah, there was somebody, I can't remember his name. But he gave us a site back in October to kind of, I think it was during the October knowledge share of, said what had happened in North Carolina, and there's parts of it that may not be, so like some of the sites you may not be able to get to next year. So until we won't know that probably until we get closer to the event time. So there's a couple different things going on. We'll need a shack potato. We will need to determine what type of equipment we're going to run. We know everybody's hoping that the Kenwood D710 replacement will be out. There are some very few sites that can actually work off of a D75 or D72. But those are the ones that are very high and not that far away. And do we want to start start incorporating more appliances, or do we want to start looking at something more of a hardware-based solution as well? Or maybe it could be something where we just need, instead of, you can still do a Frankenpeter, but maybe have it and where, we don't have to keep it hidden through the event, but at least, maybe present your option of what you want to use during one of the knowledge shares, by May or June, and show that it's working and that it functions with the Appalachian Trail Golden Packet, settings that we all have to live with and program in order for this thing to go back, because we all know one little setting off and next thing you know, you're not, as in my case back in 2019, a comma instead of a dash kind of stopped everything, and not knowing squelch needed to be on, Froze the trail. I was a dead spot. I was a black hole in the trail that year, and for the first half. So things you
I
learn.
also was on
Oh.
the D710.
All right, both of you talked, and I heard something from
Yeah,
one.
Brian, your audio is a little choppy. I stepped on top of you there, but I'll let you try again.
Oh, I was going to say it was the D710, I think, Tuck.
Yeah,
Can you type your message in the chat, please?
I will.
Thank you.
yeah. Were you going to say something, Jeff?
I guess, well, let's see here. So, the one thing I was thinking about, which, I mean, I kind of like to like tack this up and make it official, and then just we don't have to revisit it again. But the idea of using the RT systems software to build configs for everyone, and everyone just uses the configs that we provide, as opposed to us trying to, get everybody to demonstrate all the testing and the configuration work that they've done. I think, the easiest thing to do this year is just build configs and send them to people and say, this is what you run.
Okay. And
Yeah,
that
Jeff,
would,
I was gonna mention that, but can you just go through real quick, for people that aren't familiar, what that entails? In other words, they're gonna take that program, run it on the computer, and take the file you gave them, and it sets their 710 for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously Kenwood provides their own programming software. There are some inherent challenges with using the Kenwood programming software, in that it will only program your own radio. So, in fact, the very first time that you use the Kenwood software, you have to read the configuration in from your physical radio. Otherwise, you can't write a configuration to it. And so that makes it really difficult to take a config file from the Kenwood software and send it to somebody else. It's not even very difficult, it makes it impossible. So there's a third-party software development company called RT Systems. They're actually based here in Georgia. They make programming software for lots and lots of different radios. The only radio that they do not make the software for anymore is the D700, but they have for the D710, the D710G, the D72, D74, D75, right? So they have all the different radios that we could potentially use for the event. So the idea is, though, is that somebody would build configuration files, and really the only difference that we have to do, the only change we would have to make unique for each site is the SSID. But outside of that, we can generate a config file for each location and send it to them. The only thing is that would put each person, one person or each radio owner, effectively on the hook to buy a license for the RT system software. It is not very much money. I think it's like maybe $29. So yeah, if you go to mobiles, then yeah, KRS T700 or D710. There you go. It's usually is a pretty good idea to get it with their cable. So you can buy it with the cable for $49. Nice thing about their cable is that, unless you happen to own one of the Kenwood cables, which has a DB9 adapter on it, you still need to have a DB9 to USB adapter if you want to use the Kenwood cable. But the RT system software plugs directly into the D710, either the head unit or the base. For the D72, D74, D75, you can just use the cable that any micro USB, even USB, USB-C cable works. You don't need to have their cable, but for the D700 series, you do. But this is like so this was actually suggested by, goodness, guy who is at the site, Jim Conrad. He was the one that made this suggestion this past summer, was, just get RT systems, tell everybody they need to get a license for it, you want everybody running the same config. This is like the only way that's like guaranteed to do it.
Heck, if they're in Georgia, you might be able to contact them, see if they give us a volume discount or something.
Yeah, I could do that. I could see if they could do like a pool of licenses for us at a discount.
Yeah, and then we could give them some publicity on the Golden Packet site or something.
Appalachian Trail Golden Packet, sponsored by RT Systems.
Yep,
So,
could totally do that.
Ron, to get back to your point though, you talked about, if I look at this as a compendium, on one end, everybody goes out with an identical configuration that and the other end is make whatever you want, your Frankenfile thing, and as long as you say it works, go use it, and nobody else knows what you're doing, only you. So on this compendium, yeah, when I think back, I'm still of the belief that our biggest problem is logistics. So if in an ideal world, I think I mentioned this before, I'd have 2 teams on every mountain if I could get them. But at a minimum, in terms of hardware, I'd love to see either 2 teams or 1 team with 2 configurations. One configuration being proven and tested like a 710 that's programmed with the standard thing. And then the other one is your Frankenfile, whatever you want to bring. And that way, if you have a problem with one, you have the other as an option, 2 is one is none.
Yep. Trying to I put something here somewhere. We were talking and I actually put in, because you were talking about logistics, and I put in the three things that we were talking about. I can't find it.
Yeah, and I remember we had a little question about exactly what we defined as logistics. But,
Yeah.
but it's like a team showing up on time with a radio that works.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that video to show up on YouTube, Jeff.
Which one?
When they were talking about, I think it was the last meeting we had,
Oh,
not
shit.
not the Irish wake, but
The
the
November
I don't
one.
think that was on
Yeah.
there yet.
You're right. I just found it.
Yeah.
I will get it up.
And
I was
that's the
looking-
transcript, because transcripts are helpful.
Yeah, I will get it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I could have swore that was in. I could have swore we did that in and I typed it on the slides that I was working. What was logistics, what was equipment, and what was something else?
I mean, to
Well,
a certain extent, it's the, rose by any other name problem, but
yeah. This is very interesting. Well, there's a recording. Oh,
What are you
that's
looking for?
2021. I'm in 2021.
Oh, you're looking at the recordings of the
No, I was looking for the brief that I made, and
oh yeah, give me a minute. Let me see.
yeah, because I just had it open, so I was trying to, like, here's the October. I was just trying to find where we talked about, and I could have swore I typed it inside the brief where we were talking about.
Whatever text you typed in it, just search in Google Drive for exactly what you typed. Like in the search field, you don't need to search the name. You can even search the contents of the files. So if you think you know what you wrote, just search for that up top. It'll find it.
So December potential knowledge share. So there was one in the October. So, and I'm sure I could search in here somewhere. Logistics. So clearly, it just baffles me.
There's the search thing in the upper left.
Upper left.
Go to the
Oh,
left.
there it is. Got it. Larger logistics print. That's the only one. We are all on a thing, and I was typing because we were talking about what is logistics, what is equipment, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll find it and I'll have it ready for the next one. It was just something that we were all, it put us all on the same, for lack of a better word, sheet of music.
Sure.
Yeah, I actually have the video from the Zoom session. I'm just trying to get to it right now. I had to rebuild my laptop, so I don't have everything on here that I need to get it. Bear with me.
Ron, could we talk for a minute about team captains?
Absolutely.
We have one, Don Ralph is our team captain for the Northeast. And I don't know, do we have team captains for any other sections yet?
I'm not aware of them.
I mean, that's one thing we'd like to get, preferably earlier rather than later, know who the team captains are for the different parts of the trail.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to recruit them.
I think having good team captains can make a major difference in our probability of success.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I mean begs the question. Like, I know pretty soon I'm gonna have to start working on getting the sign up sheet ready, and then I guess we'll add a section to the sign up sheet for the team captains.
I'll go ahead and volunteer for the South region.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I can do that.
Well, you got 2 of your 3 now.
That was Glenn.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you so much. All right, so I just found the video and I found the transcript from November.
Glenn, I don't, if you remember from the Irish Wake, but Paul and his friends said they were willing to do a mountain this year, and I assume it's going to be in the southern section. So.
Hey, Brian, where did you get that picture of Lynn?
Well, that's the picture that Lynn used to post. I just took it off
His
the chat.
avatar.
Oh, okay.
I saved it for before the Zoom session would close and put it in my notepad. And so I still have that.
I just posted a file in the Zoom chat. So if you just take that and you open it with a text editor, doesn't matter, Notepad, WordPad, whatever it is, you'll be able to open that. That's the transcript from the November call.
Okay. Thank you.
And Ron, your slide deck, it said ATGP November Knowledge Share down select on the title page.
Yeah. So this is October. This is, for some reason, that's October. This is October. I completely lost the one for December. They're in these folders somewhere, and I don't know what in the world I did with them. Considering I had it open, I had December. Now it was probably in the November folder, but when I opened the November folder, there's no brief, so I don't even know what happened to it. This is what
I found. Oh, is this the one that you're sharing for tonight, December 10th?
Yeah, I started
knowledge share.
It's in potential. That's.
You've got a file that's dated. I don't know if this is the one. Yeah, this is the one that you have open right now. So 2024 12/10 Appalachian Trail Golden Packet December potential knowledge share. But there's another one that looks very similar.
I'm just baffled at what I did because I had them open today. So how did I open it and completely lose it?
Well, if you go to Google Drive, and then let's see here.
Yeah, so right there it
Over
is.
here, choose recent. Over here on your left.
Okay. So there's the December one. Okay.
And then, yeah, if you click this lines here, that'll actually help you kind of see a little bit more.
Ah, okay. So I can go recent here. That helps. Last month. So no, that's 2022. So that wouldn't have been it. So, and
No.
earlier this year. But yeah, so which just baffles me, how I went from having, like it doesn't even show the December one here. Oh, here we go.
This is the December one, or I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You may have two of them called December.
Yeah, because I had one. I piggybacked off of the November one, so it should be in the same folder as November. And I'm like, well, I forgot to create a new one, so new folder for December. So I
Right.
figured I could do that afterwards. But anyway, but bottom line is somewhere in here, it clearly does not have. We had that discussion, and I could. Oh, here we go. So it was in November. Logistics, equipment, and technical. In terms of those were some of the issues, or how we broke them out. In terms of logistics was movement to location, the actual location, not bringing everything you need. Equipment is, an equipment malfunction, a power supply, antenna, cabling, etc. So in other words, what we were trying to do last month was kind of categorize them into three general things. Whether you fail, it doesn't have to be a failure, but you know, just so we're all talking the same thing. So, and these are just something I came up with, and we can adjust those as a group as we go forward. But it's just something kind of from my background of 20 some years in the Marine Corps, or 20 years in the Marine Corps, and working for the Department of the Navy since July 6th of 1984.
Showing your
So,
age, Ron.
yes, I am, but that's okay. We had a so I told you guys I put together note announcements for nets that go on Thursday night. One of them is a D-Star net, one of them's our analog net, and then another club doing their analog net. And I always do a question for the net. And I wasn't able. I was in Lynchburg last Thursday, so I don't know what anybody answered. But since you brought up talking about age, the question was, how old is the youngest ham you know?
Ah.
you know, and you start thinking about it, and a lot of people, the youngest ham they know, may be in their 40s or
Hmm.
50s. And I'm hoping this year the youngest ham I know becomes 22 years old, and it'll be my daughter, because she said she's either going to do it. She's going to try and do it on January, because December she had finals before. There's always a reason, but she's still studying, which is the impressive part. She's still studying. And
She's still committed, yeah.
when we were driving down to her boyfriend is Army ROTC, and he found out he's going to be military intelligence on Thursday. And while we were driving down there, I didn't even say a word. She just said, "Dad, let's go over some things." And we were talking about, questions from the technicians pool.
You know what I did that worked really well for me was I bought the Gordon West study kit, and it had, like, I don't know, 4 or 6 CDs, and I would listen to them in the car.
Yeah. Yeah, we have there's a couple things that the biggest issue with her is actually sitting down and doing it.
Hmm.
And so I said, whatever, so one of the guys, I can't remember his name, but he's from this area, and he has a book, and his method was, um, you know, don't teach somebody what the question is and the 4 possible answers. Just, teach them, here's the question and this is the answer and this is why it's the answer. So
Hmm.
in other words, you're not looking at what the wrong answers are. You're only looking at what the right answer is and learning why it's the right answer. So in theory, it'll help you rule out. And for me, what I liked that helped me, I got my my novice and technician in 1989 down in Corpus Christi, Texas. So almost got 13 words per minute code that day, but not I missed it by like I don't know, a couple words or a couple letters or something. I don't remember,
That's impressive.
but I got so I got my novice and my technician, and then I just held on to that till about 2013-ish or 2010, somewhere between 2010 and 2013, retired from the Marine Corps, 20 years later, went back and in like a February got my general, and May, I think April or May, I got my extra. But I ended up using it's now bought out by another company, but it was Ham Test Online. And for me, I liked it because it would give you the questions based on the set, how it would add in new sections based on how you mastered a section, and it would
Did
keep.
did somebody acquire them? Because I thought he was just
Yeah,
gonna kind of like let things go.
it was, if you actually go to, let me do it here. If you actually go to Ham Test Online.
Because I paid for that shortly before he announced it.
Yeah, it's Ham Radio Prep now, or
Ah,
Ham
okay.
Ham Radio License Exam. So this is exactly what, Ham Test Online. So now it's owned by Ham Radio License Exam. So I can log in here, which, yeah, and see what my daughter study history is. Look,
Oh, actually, I have something funny to show you guys.
she's did 10 minutes and 58 seconds when we were in the car.
EPRS Foundation. Let's see if I can find this. Here we go. I'm going to share a link with you guys in the chat.
Ron, the other thing that I think is particularly effective is some of the clubs will do like a license in a day, take a Saturday, teach you
Okay.
everything you know, and give you
Yep.
the test at the end of the day. Or some of them do it in a weekend. But that way you don't have to worry about forgetting stuff.
Yep. We story on something very similar. When you finished flight school for the Navy and the Marine Corps, and I'm sure the Air Force and the Army do something, you just get your wings, you're getting ready to go out to the fleet and start learning the helicopter. For me, the helicopter or plane or whatever you're going to fly for your career. And what they do is they also work with the FAA and the FAA. They'll bring somebody in and they'll come down and you can take your FAA license to get your commercial type rating, so you can get your commercial pilot's license, because of the amount of training that we go through. So what they do is if they're going to do it on a Saturday, they have or whatever day they're doing it, you go in for 2 days and they go over everything for so you're in there for like 6 or 8 hours for 2 days, and you come in and they've got a very high success rate of you passing. But like you said, you're just finishing flight school. They're just giving you all the information. They're focusing on the stuff that's different from what you just learned for the military, for the FAA. And then based on what you already have your quals in, for me, it was like single engine, fixed wing, and helicopter. You get your commercial rating and your for me, helicopter and single engine fixed wing. Other guys who did props or jets would have other type of ratings, but you would get you walk away, and I still have my cards up in a box, to show that I'm a commercial pilot license. Never do it, and never had an intention of doing it. To me, that would be like, Richard Petty going from NASCAR and driving a Greyhound bus.
I got my certificate for flying drones, and I studied for like a week.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because the conversation about drones, or that you flying drones, Jonathan Branker, who works for the FAA, Dr. Jonathan Branker, he's also Ham, friend of mine. He did a presentation on drones and the FAA and everything. It's 5 or 6 years ago for the Pentagon Amateur Radio Club. I asked him if he would like to do a presentation on drones licensing and, how they can integrate with ham radio. And he said, absolutely.
Oh, God, yeah,
So,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
what a lot of people don't know is, and we didn't learn it, they actually have I don't know if they still have the app, but it used to be called Before You Fly. So
yeah,
you would go in and you would have to put in where you're at and everything. And, and I didn't realize until, because I don't have a drone. I tried them out and it just was something that my daughter never really wanted to get into. But, if you're going to lose, you can't, you can't go beyond line of sight with it, and, without having some kind of flight plan or something, I guess. So it's, it's very restrictive compared to what other places are. But Jeff, you just went through it, so you could probably fill in more details
Well,
than
that's
I
what I was
can.
saying is like I did it like 2 years ago, and then I immediately forgot everything that I learned. So I was just telling my wife the other day about how I really need to go through and review the materials again, because if I ever get challenged on anything, I would be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan, I'll get Jonathan for February or March, and whenever he can do it, I'll tell him, Jen, anytime next year that he wants to do it, I'll give you as much heads up as I can. But then you being maybe the only drone person in the group, might have some questions for him.
no, I'm looking forward to that. It'd be a great presentation. And you're
Yeah.
right. It's not like the Air Force where you can sit in the bunker in Colorado and drop bombs in Iraq. You can't do over the horizon stuff. You need to keep it in visual sight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's meaning like if you have an actual license or something, like Jeff may know this or whatever, there's probably something that you can go beyond line of sight without, but once you have to have certain qualifications and
You have to have you have to have a spotter. I
yeah,
unfortunately I that's one of the things like I'm probably not the best person to learn from, but I don't rely
yeah,
on having a spotter. I trust my equipment a lot.
yeah,
No, Ron, basically what you have to do. In other words, if you're just a regular drone pilot, you can make your own drone, all homemade and stuff. It's like a homemade ultralight, right?
yeah,
When you start going beyond line of sight, it has to be like a type accepted, like an airplane. So people that are doing delivery services like Google that want to
yeah.
fly these, they have to get special type accepted
Oh,
drones and go through special filings. So
yeah,
suddenly the cost goes up by a couple of orders of magnitude. You're
yeah.
not do,
Well,
you're not doing it with a $25
well,
drone.
when I started flying in 1989, we had, to help you be identified on radar because you're small, we had a transponder, which would essentially, um, it would take the radar signal in, and then it would kind of send it out with an with a stronger signal, but also it would beacon out your, if you had it, your altitude, and it would also give your call, not your call sign, but a 4-digit identifier, so they could say, identify you in the area. So that's how it was working in those days. Nowadays they use asynchronous digit. I forget what it stands for, ADSB, but it's now you're reporting your location now. It's not relying, so in other words, it's not just the air traffic control, painting you with the radar and then knowing where you're at. It's you're actually broadcasting yourself on probably, it's probably at 120 or 400 and some megahertz, but you're putting that signal out, and anybody else that's in visual range or in line of sight radio ranges knows where you're at, your speed, your altitude, heading, all that stuff is, you know, going out there. So it's just full of so much information. And that's why, you can actually, um, get a Raspberry Pi and download the program and build yourself a little antenna with a little RF thing, and, start decoding that APR or that ADSB signal from airplanes and pump it into the internet, like APRS does.
You have the same requirement for drones now. They can't sell a drone over 250 grams unless it has that. Well, it's
Okay.
different frequency, but basically
Yeah.
same idea.
Yeah. Yep. And I know, remember there was a talk, a buddy of mine was with, he was an instructor pilot for I don't know how many different type of aircraft, but a lot. And he was working with some representatives of the FAA about how to, with drones and how to identify them and how how to get information. And, one of the things that they were looking at was, putting a little cellular type transmitter that would put out the information, take the GPS and put all that information out so the FAA would know where it was at.
Yep, they
Yeah.
have that now.
Yeah.
It's mandatory.
Yeah. They just, I guess,
Sorry,
went away from
I was
cell
trying to
phones.
share the screen. I was trying to share the screen on my my phone to show you guys all the new drone apps that took place of the before you fly.
Oh, okay.
For whatever
Gl-
reason, my phone is not seeing the
Okay.
AirPlay server.
Yeah. We saw the thing pop up that you were going to be sharing, but yeah, nothing came out of it. We just thought it was eventually it would come through.
Yeah,
So,
my daughter's in a STEM program here, and they made all the students get that license so they can fly the drones.
oh,
Crazy, but
Well,
they're
maybe
pretty
somebody will
proactive. I'm
take it.
actually supposed to meet. Yeah, I'm supposed to meet with them to set up a ham shack at the one school where they have the major STEM program. So
yeah.
I talked to them way back when about the APRS and the advantages of all that. And they want to move forward with it. So I just gotta get some time together and get with the teachers.
Yeah, I know I'm kind of get it back to APRS a little bit here, and not because, but just that you said something and it picked my brain about it. And I know I asked a question, but I don't know if we, I think Lynn or somebody said, or Jason, we have the 1200 baud rate for APRS, and a lot of that was limited by rules and regulations, but also reliability of data. And, so I was just wondering, like they took the baud rate limit off of HF and it said, but you have a bandwidth limit. I was just curious what kind of speed you could get, um, if you could get more information through the same frequency without, in other words, could you increase the baud rate?
You increase the symbol rate. So
Yeah. Could you,
yeah,
how much could you push it above, 12 or, because I learned there are some issues with 9600. But does 9600 go better at the higher frequencies? Or is it even worth looking at, I'll call it APRS 2.0 or 1.5 or something where, you can do something at a higher rate and maybe do something with, like for lack of better words, a control channel or something like that. I don't know, because we're also very limited on, what bandwidth and what frequencies we have. Like 220, I think we're down to like what 220 to 222 megahertz now. I think it's like 2 megahertz range.
I don't know how the guy who wrote VARA actually implemented support for APRS, but VARA in and of itself, in the HF world, I mean, the data rates on VARA were pretty much very, very close to PACTOR. And PACTOR, I mean, that typically requires like a hardware modem, and those things
Yeah.
are incredibly expensive.
Yeah, I'm wondering if
So-
those are going to start coming down now because people can, we're not limited by 300.
I don't know that many people are investing in it anymore because how good VARA has gotten.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
what's
when
the
VARA
point if you can
didn't
get close
also-
if you can get close to it for $80 versus $2,000?
Yeah.
Ron, back to your question. First off, if we went to 440 instead of 2 meters, we have relaxed bandwidth limitations, right? So we can pump much faster on 440.
Yeah.
So that's A. B, if you look at it, it's not necessarily a hardware problem. If you look at what Joe Taylor's done with new modulation schemes like FT8,
Okay.
things
Yeah.
like that. As you do better algorithms, better error recovery, stuff like that. But part of that is when you go to a new algorithm, it can break the specification. In other words, if you want to transmit something that's going to be compatible with existing APRS radios, that limits you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, for instance, right now, Direwolf will do error correction,
Yeah.
which most APRS radios won't. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of upside there to do more things in the future.
Yeah. No, like I said, I'm just trying to, I don't live in the world like the engineers and the people and John and the people and Lynn and Craig Lampeter and stuff that understand and do the programming and coding and how the things. But so I've always wondering, well, we can do a lot, but what can we do? And I know this thing wouldn't work with the existing frequencies and everything, but if you almost could take APRS and have somewhat of a smart repeater, but it would, they would be connected to the internet. They would get information so they would know who's close by either through the internet connection or something else. But then they would also know, in other words, they would be able to update and, in theory, control the non-internet connected repeaters, digipeaters and stuff in the area through a control channel. But that would be a lot of stuff. And it's not like we already don't have APRS busy environments. Just driving around this area here, and you just turn on APRS, and it's just beeping, all day long. And as you get closer to Lynchburg and stuff, the mountains, you've got some, you're hearing. I routinely hit from my house or from my area, I'm hitting something up on a mountain up in the Blue Ridge Mountains or whatever it is, Skyline Drive up in that area that are 70, 80 miles away on a regular basis. But
Well, to bring this back home, Ron, one of the things we can do, not necessarily this year, but in future years, is the Golden Packet is a great opportunity to test some of these alternate modes and new ideas
yeah, and
in
that's what
real world conditions.
yeah, and that's where
that-
one of the things I was talking about was like you could have dual, you can either run, dual setup, or one maybe running on 96 or 440, and the other one on 140 and 44, or 2 meters and 440. In other words, you could
Right.
have it, and you could run on a separate channel, and then could you do something to where some of the control configuration was done on one side, on one frequency, and the other ones were not. In other words, so we could experiment with that up there, because we could do uh, the UHF. But somebody else was going to say something.
Well, I think we were talking earlier about that Mesh-tastic. It would be fun to try that from the mountaintops, because their effective range is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
They're only limited by obstruction, but there's also, I was going to mention that if you Google the new packet radio, they're attaining a bit rate up to 500 kbps. So, kbps. So, that's
Kilobits per second, 500 kilobits
Yeah.
per second. Okay.
yeah.
As opposed to
and
1200.
It's in the 430 megahertz range. So
Yeah. Yeah, there was years ago, I can't remember the guy, Universal Digital Radio. He was working on a 440 machine that would do packet WinLink and a couple other things. But that ended up essentially becoming a URDC draw, that the draws hat for Pi, and also a DV thumb drive or thumb device. But the actual 440 radios, 25-watt radios that in theory you would be able to set up and have a network, never materialized because it went down a different path as they were developing it. But that was something that was intrigued, just like the old broadband hamnet or the ham WAN, or the Arden and stuff like that. So
that's along the lines of the new packet,
yeah,
Hamnet and Arden.
yeah. I mean, because in theory you could do that as well, but you just really, you really need a clear line of sight. You can't really have trees if you were going to do something like that. And then if you were trying to use a dish, you're very limited on your, you probably could get the distance with it, but the alignment and everything may not be the easiest thing to achieve. But I guess in the big picture, back to the old ATGP, what are we thinking about? What are we thinking about? Like equipment type stuff. And I know John and they got their radios on, but John walked away. But
No, I'm here.
oh, okay, all right. Just curious, I know, I know not everybody has a Kenwood, so saying it's a Kenwood only event may make it difficult, but if we want to start out that way, then it makes it makes it a little difficult for everybody. But I mean, that's how it started. But we can also, you know, do a dual event like that, but also, in terms of being able to bring other things in. So I'm all for whatever the team wants to do. It just, the sooner we can get something down, maybe by January, February, kind of lock down what we're going to do. And I know we won't be able to lock down all the sites in the southern end, but I think the northern end, I think we've kind of
We got to lock
Yeah.
down northern end solid.
Yeah. And then the Jim Conrad and I were going to try sometime in the next year to test out between that one site west of Harrisburg, north of Maryland Mountains, and what we refer to as the new GD Hill, which is Route 501 shelter. So if we can get a good connection link from him and I between our two sites there, then we know we have a reliable link to get there between what used to be a Maryland site, it would end up being 3 sites in Pennsylvania. We'd have the Poconos. I can't remember what the name of that mountain is up in the Poconos, but what GD Hill, now 501 shelter, and what Maryland Mountains would become the I can't remember what the name of it was. Let me see the map here. . 501 jail. Let's see. All right, it was some gap. Oh, there's an Appalachian Trail Museum.
John Tarbox.
Yes.
I was wondering if you've have listened to any broadcast stations while you're on top of Mount Washington to see what you can hear up there, meaning like NOAA weather stations or FM broadcast channels or repeaters from up there to see what you can hear and what directions they're coming from. You ever tried any of that up there?
No, but what I can tell you is that last year when I was up there, I think it was our simplex no, it was on our APS frequency on 2 meters. I had voice FM stations from far away as Utica, New York on our 2 meter frequency. So you hear a long ways up there.
Oh, okay, very good. I don't know
The
if you
other
had,
thing
if you could
is
hear
there's
the AM FM broadcast station that's on top of Sugarloaf from up there.
probably, I would think you could. The other thing is there's a station on top of Mount Washington, a commercial station that can be heard all over New England. You can hear it everywhere here in Maine.
Yeah,
Well,
I forgot. It's called WHOM. When I go up there to Sugarloaf to do a check out, before the event, I'm going to go up there and see if I can hear that on top of Sugarloaf. I mean, on Washington. Yeah.
The other thing is I'm hearing, Tim is up on Katahdin with what, 5 watts or something. Well, I can take a Biofang and generally work with my Biofang, work Tim on Katahdin. So, obviously if you're asking, could I hear a 1,000-watt FM radio station, great distance. Well, if the Biofang works to Katahdin, yeah, I could get pretty long. It's going to be curvature of the earth that's going to limit it.
Understood.
Ron, on your question of equipment and stuff,
Yeah.
you know, here's the thing about it, what we do. We are no better than the weakest link. In other
Yep.
words, if every station is perfect, but one piece of equipment has a problem, the whole event fails.
Yep.
And I would love to figure out a way to design the event so we don't have a single point of failure,
Yeah.
right?
There was, I had to memorize, it's called the Laws of the Navy when I was a plebe at the Naval Academy in 1984. And one of the laws of the Navy is to strengthen one link in the cable, impendeth the might of the change. Who knows when thou mayest be tested? So live that thou bearest a strain, which is the weakest link in the cable is the one that's going to kill you. But going to, that's, your whole group is only as strong as the weakest link. Yep.
So, if you just think about it from a theoretical point of view, would you like to have everybody in every mountain have the same piece of gear, all of them, so you got redundancy, pre-programmed, pre-tested, and everybody's the same, or would you like everybody showing up with random gear? I mean, it's kind of self-evident, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I don't think I don't think I was ever necessarily advocating for random gear. The idea was Frankenpeter was more of a, we go out there, we get it, we've established it on, say the Kenwood D710, and then once it's confirmed that it's working and we've established a link, then, you can substitute your Frankenpeter in,
Right.
and then we know at that point there will probably be failures.
Right. But the other thing, how do you define established as working? You went out one weekend on a good day and it worked. You went out 100 times and it worked 100 times out of 100. I mean,
Well, one of the things I recommended was that you had to do it with somebody else with you had to do it and configure at a certain amount of distance with somebody with the D710 to know that it was compatible and it was functioning with the already known configuration for the Appalachian Trail packet.
right. But if you
Yeah.
do it once, does that mean it's reliable? And
True, I got that. However, how many times do we see people who go out there with a D710 and don't have it configured properly? So we still, it's called human error, unfortunately.
right.
But
part of that we're trying to address with Jeff's idea or whoever he gave credit to of, a standard configuration that's sent to everybody, use the same programming software. I mean, the more standards,
yeah, if you want to foolproof it, we get 16 D710s. They're configured. Well, let's just say by the APRS Foundation or the Appalachian Trail Golden Packet leadership, they get distributed to people. They're locked so they can't edit it. And then you have somebody go with them to make sure it's set up, it's installed properly. So
no, we get 32, so there's 2 on every mountain.
Yes,
in case the first one fails. Yes.
Correct. Yes. So so in other words, you can over redundant yourself. I don't even know if that's a right word grammatically, but you can make it so it has the best chance of success. But at some point, you essentially take it. It's the equivalent of
You have diminishing returns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
In other words, you now made it almost cost prohibitive. Like when they not the current one, the presidential helo that got canceled back in the early 2000s. The G-force limits that they wanted that helicopter to be able to withstand forward, backward, left, right, and vertical, down, should something happen, no person could survive it.
Yeah.
But they wanted the air, in other words, so it, so you're trying to now, granted, with the helicopter, if the helicopter doesn't break, you don't have to worry about the transmission ripping out and the blades cutting through the fuselage and killing people. And I know that people have unfortunately had that happen and a blade sling in the middle of the air and they were dead before they even hit the ground because of the G forces they were, succumbed to. So you can do a lot of stuff. And there's reasons why they want those high tolerances but at some point it becomes cost prohibitive to try, it's like they say, hey, if the black box can survive a crash, why don't we just make the whole aircraft out of the same material?
Yeah.
But you can't make an aircraft like that. Chances of it flying and getting off the ground are probably slim.
Well, sure, but the other thing, on the other end of the spectrum is like, well, how, I'm just going to make this one little change. How bad could it be?
Yeah.
And like I had an ex-Marine in one of my classes, and he was in the maintenance squadron for the helicopters. And remember when they had those counterfeit, I'm going to call it a nut for lack of a better term, that holds the blade on.
Yeah.
And
Blade, well, it could be a blade pin, or it could be, locking.
And,
yeah, there's.
And one of them was counterfeit, and it failed and killed everybody on the helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a reason for standards. And you're right. We're not going to try to, have better standards than NASA here on a moon launch. But
yeah, but it's standard configure, and let's just, for the conversation, if everybody's going to use a D7, let's just say a D710 or the replacement, and we know everybody has the same, let's just say everybody has a D710 and the replacement didn't come out. Then everybody's using the same radio and everybody has the same configuration sent to them by, Jeff or somebody who put it together. And then it's up to that, and it's already configured for the right wattage, the right beacon rate, the right everything, and even has their basic message going. But so we can do that, and then just they go up there and they never edit their message and everything, and eventually we'll find out if it works. But there's still the what if they don't have the right antenna, or they brought the antenna but they don't have a way to hoist it into the tree, or something. We'll never.
Oh, you're right. There's always,
yeah,
and perfection's not of this earth. But the other thing we could strive for instance, the first year I did Sugarloaf, I didn't have a radio. Sent me a radio. Maybe somebody has an extra 710.
I no longer have an extra 710, so I'm hoping on that 710 replacement coming out before I have one, but I'm waiting for that replacement to come out. But I do have two D75s, but they won't help for where I'm at.
But I have two 710s, and some people have extra radios. So if it turns out we have a team and they don't have a 710, well, maybe we can get them a loaner one for the weekend. I mean, these kind of logistics of getting people what they need.
Yeah, and or we have a wealthy benefactor who says, I now have 32 radios. I've got 2 for each site. I will loan them to the organization, for every year. We'll mail them out. We'll get them. I just needed them to ship them back to me, and et cetera. So, there's always things like that.
Wouldn't that be nice if Kenwood did that with their new radios?
That's what. Yeah, I'd love for that.
So we're going to ship you 2 of them and just
you really want to try it out to see how it works with APRS? Give it to the Appalachian Trail Golden Packet.
That was an idea that I had, was to reach out to Kenwood and be like, this is like a great marketing campaign for you guys, right? Send us loaner radios for each of the sites, and we'll have everybody will agree to take pictures and video footage of them out on the trail. We'll send it to you. You guys send them off to the marketing team after the event.
Yeah,
they could easily do like a full page ad on QST.
Well, we'll all sign NDAs.
Well, they could be ACGP certified.
There we go. Come program. Well, no, we wouldn't want them to program them for us in advance, because then everybody would be beaconing on our crap, on our stuff, on our signal.
Now, wasn't
this would be like after the event, right? Like they're not going to publish this before.
No. I was just saying, hey, they it's already pre-configured for the Appalachian Trail Golden Packet.
I see.
Should you choose to, it's got an ATGP mode already built in.
Oh, there you go.
A button, you press the button in, and it's ATGP mode.
Yeah. This one's Bob at 1200, and this one's Lynn at 9600. All right, configure Bob. Go.
Ron, can I something else you mentioned earlier? Maybe we could touch on.
Yeah.
And that is, in addition to the people we have on the mountains, is there something we can add to the event for people in their home shacks that would like to participate? Like, for instance, they could be receive only eye gates, or they could do other things like that.
and I did announce that like in our local, the Pentagon Club and the local clubs, and I told them what I did I actually did I did 2 or 3 briefs on the month
Right.
before. But what I failed to do on one of them was to tell them that, oh yeah, if you're going to tune your thing up to 144.34, you need it 9600. So I forgot to tell one of the clubs that, but it ended up none of them went out. But yeah, whatever we can do to advertise it and get it out there to the local clubs up and down. And I think that'll be something that we need to do, because there's enough people on here to do it, so we can send out a month, maybe a thing in May, and then one in June, and then another one in June. And then, as we get closer to July, hey, looking for people to add eye gates. All you have to do is, flip your eye gate don't change anything. Just flip it over to 144.34 and leave it there from 10 o'clock in the morning till 1600 in the afternoon. You can take part in it, or if you put up a second eye gate or something like that, but yeah, to get that. And then also, if you're going to be out hiking or whatever, another thing we can, ask people to, when they're hiking, if they're going to take a beacon APRS, to just tune the thing up to 144.34,
Yeah. We need to really think about that, because
Yeah.
if we put additional transmitters on that frequency, we're going to have them do hop 77. How's that going to work?
Yeah, that's
Congestion on the
exactly.
frequency.
And some radios and some things don't allow you to do. They just let's see, where's it at here? Can't believe I can't find it. It's my little Pico APRS. It's
Right.
you
Oh,
can
you
put
have
in.
one of those?
I don't have the new one, but I actually have 2 of the old ones.
Those things are neat. They're very expensive though.
Yeah, and I like it. It's neat, but oh yeah, here.
Yeah.
It's neat. The only thing is if you put it on 144.39, it's wide 11, wide 22. If you put it on 145.825, it's APRSIS or what AR1SS or whatever it is. So it automatically puts the path to the International Space Station.
Oh, that's not cool.
Yeah. So in other words, so you can't. I read the manual. It says I don't think you can go in and there's probably a way to configure it if you know how to do the code, but it's defaulted if you use the 134.39, 144.34, or Europe or whatever. It's already pre-configured for that. Meanwhile, I have the Vero VRC VR7 N7500, and that one has you free text to put in. You can put in a hop 77, hop 77, hop 77, or if you're going to do your own special event, you can put your own paths in there. So there's now that radio is neat. I've played with that. There's little nuances with it, just like there is with the Radioddity GA5WB or the VR N76, which is the essentially same radio as the Radioddity, and I think both B-Tech has one as well. You can configure this stuff, but it'll beacon and it'll listen. But if you want it to digipede, you have to actually have it connected to like that little HT or whatever I have to connect it to. It has to be connected to either in the app, so you can configure it to digipeater. And I learned that. I'm like, why is it not digipeding? Why is it not digipeding? And then I finally saw in one of the posts that you don't have to have it connected to the internet. In other words, I can turn the internet off on my phone, but I have to have my phone connected to it. Then it will digipede. So little nuances that I've learned, but I like learning more and playing with the different APRS things,
Totally.
and do things. So I'm all for it. I know we're up at 9 o'clock, and I guess to think about between now and next year in January, I assume we'll still do it on the second Tuesday. Just to
It's the third. Oh, for the we'll still stick with the second Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, So, because yeah, that's like almost in the middle of the month based on the when the first is. I think first Tuesday is the 7th or something like that. But yeah, I think we just a good discussion. We hit a lot of different things, but I think something to think about. And I think between is about a week out. I'll remember, and if not, Jeff, remind me or whatever. Maybe we put something out to say, all right, this is the meeting we're going to decide. So if you want to have a say in what we're going to do and
Mhm.
what we're gonna do for 2025, you need to be at that meeting. If you're not
Yep.
at the, you're not at the meeting, then and oh, by the way, looking for, and I think we put it out there as well. We're also looking for, what are we calling them? Team captains or section captains or
Yeah, well, now we've got two, so we really only need one more. We need somebody for Central. So
yeah.
we've got Glenn for
So
Southeast, and we've got Don for Northeast.
yeah, so we'll put those in that. I think what I'll do is I'll put something together about a week prior, send it to you and John, and if anybody else you want me to, Don or whoever you want me to send it to, just let me know. And what I'll do is I'll post it out there, and just let me know if you guys want me to add anything or subtract anything. Just so, in other words, kind of like, all right, we're gonna have our meeting. It's next week. This is what we're gonna talk about. If you want to have your say, and and oh, by the way, we're looking for team or trail captains or section captains. We have one for the north. We'll have one for the south. Need one for the middle. And oh, by the way, it doesn't hurt to have a primary and a backup. So if you'd like to assist and learn for future events, here's the people to reach out to.
I'm going to actually share a document link here in the Zoom chat, and I'll show you guys the document on a screen share. So one of the things that I realized I was not good at was, I announced that we need something, but then I won't say anything about what somebody's actually signing themselves up to do. So basically gave a job, but no job description.
Yeah.
So after I realized we weren't going to get team captains this past year, I sat down and I decided to write whatever it is that we would provide to team captains for 2025 or beyond. And so this is basically kind of like, why team captains, where the areas are that we've run into in the past, what our expectations are. This is by no means set in stone, right? I mean, this is just some thoughts that I had that
Yeah.
I just captured. It's like, what, 2.5 pages or so, but almost 3 pages. But, if you guys want to look over it, see if this is something that you think would be helpful. I mean, this may be helpful for more than just for the team captains.
Right.
But I just wanted to let you guys know of its existence. I mean, if you guys ever look at my Google Drive for Golden Packet, it's pretty frightening, actually. HCGP. So, I mean, there is years and years of material
Yeah.
here, and even like each year you drill into the event, right? This is everything for last year, for the previous years. I mean, at some point, this stuff, at least what is worth sharing, should be made public. But like I've got like all the radio mobile files,
Yeah.
and when people uploaded photos from their sites, all those, the Google Forms document that people use, right? Everything gets uploaded into Google Drive. So this is all, everything is here. It's all, I don't get rid of anything. Even
Yeah.
all like the help desk calls that we had, those are
Yep.
all recorded. Even like all the knowledge share sessions, for example. So going back to the very first one, September 2021. And then this was the last time any of us heard Bob speak, was October 2021. That was his last presentation on APRS, where we asked him what he thought the future of APRS held. That would actually be something that would be interesting to cover for the foundation, John and John.
Yes.
That would actually be a great one to listen to, because to see where he wanted to go. And
Yeah.
Yeah, and if there's anybody actually working on that.
Yep. So, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. You know, this is one of Lynn's greatest presentations. I came up with the title of it. What's this button do? But that was, you know, like on all the unique settings in the Kenwood that we use and why. But like all of this stuff too. I mean, if you go to all of those for the most part, I would say maybe not 100% of them. But if you go, is it content, playlists? So how many videos do we have up here that are just Golden Packet? It says 1 to 30 out of many. There's 32. So there's 32 videos. These are all of the knowledge share sessions. So basically anytime that we had a knowledge share session, I had a tracker that I came up with. And if I posted it, you know, and then when I say published, that's like, you know, did I share the link with the group? And then I tried to capture the links. Some of them I just never got around to doing. And you can
That's
see
a
here,
lot of data.
I kind of like tapered off here back in February, so probably need to come back in here and populate this with everything else that's happened this year. But yeah, there's tons of data here. I mean, there's a lot of work that I do throughout the course of the year. And I mean, I can't even say again how much, Ron, having you help with the knowledge share sessions has helped me, and having the captains help is going to be even more so. I do think, you know, I'm curious too, like I forgot who it was. I think it was John Huggins was the one that made the comment, or maybe it was you, Ron, about Lynn kind of being like the wizard in the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And I think we should have kind of like a Wizard of Oz Shack Potato themed shirt for 2025.
Wizard hats.
Yeah, something, yeah, something like
Or
with that sort
we
of
all
theme.
wear hats like whatever the heck was on Lynn's head in that picture.
Yeah.
Something that we can do in his honor, like we did in 2022 with Bob.
We definitely need to dedicate the event this year to Lynn.
Yeah.
Oh
think
yeah,
it's
there's
handsome.
yeah.
Yeah.
We can all take a bottle of scotch.
We just can't drink it in honor of Lynn.
Question, Jeff, can we get the sign up sheet up before the first of the year?
Before the first of the year, we have to know what the sites are.
Okay,
I mean,
good point.
The sign up sheet. The sign up sheet requires us having a decision as far as what the sites are. So, I would love to.
I'm with you. So the
but no,
next question is, Ron, you said you wanted to make decisions at the January meeting about stuff. Should we maybe, you know, we can do polls on Google. Should we have put up some polls where people can?
Polls are good. The only thing that I have against polls for this is, and you know, Jeff, you can either agree or you guys can agree or disagree, is, you know, we tend to get just like anytime something was going on, you get a lot of information from a bunch of people who never participate.
That's right.
So
well, that would be what would be great if we could get a poll that was answered by the people that are going to be on the mountains. But the problem is we can't fix the teams till we know what the mountains are. We got a chicken and egg problem here.
So well, we do, but we don't. The reason I say that is we can still go forward knowing we need, say, 16 stations. And there's only, I don't know exactly how many, but is there really only two stations that, you know, locations that were really a question now? I don't know, because I think I don't know if it's Comer's Rock and North where should be good, as opposed to I don't know which sites. Yeah, I know the ones got renamed, but I don't think that's a change. And then the one, whatever it was that they couldn't get to that last year, it ended up being a better site. So
Yeah,
in other
Mount
words, so
Mitchell is marked as closed right now. I just looked it up a little while ago.
yeah. So what we may consider doing is staying with what we have, but put a little asterisk or put a change the color from blue to red or something like, TBD based on, you know, current closures may not have an exact location until, late spring or something like that. So I'd rather be able to look at them and have an idea, because we got the 16 sites. So, and if 14 of them are staying the same, we can get the volunteers and we know what's there. And then the ones that may be up in the air, like here, I don't know which one out of those. Appalachia Mountain should be fine. I don't know which ones are the ones that might have an issue. Is it the Klingman's Dome and the one south of it, but anyway, I think we can go forward with it, and start looking for signups and just maybe highlight them and, put something, flashing text, sparkles or whatever it is, just something to say that these are TBD based on, tropical storm Helene or whatever it was. Exact location will be determined, later.
It works for me. Does it work for you, Jeff?
Sorry, that was a long way to say, yeah, I think we can.
So we're basically just saying kind of like make it more generic, like as far as the locations, or
Well, I mean, the ones that we know aren't changing. I don't know which ones are the ones. In other words, I think everything from Comer's Rock north is pretty much fixed. The only thing that'll be a little change would be Maryland Mountains and Maryland Mountain 6 and GD Hill 7. But Jim and I are going to work those out, for the exact location. So we already know who's manning those. And I think everything else north of that is we're not actually making I know we had investigated whatever Slide Mountain or something, but I think we already ruled something out and said we're staying with what we had, or they were looking at something else. But I think we already decided.
Slide Rock, yeah.
I know you said it was originally on Bob, but I think on that first meeting after where Jim or NX40 or N4XO, whatever, he was doing some of the alternate locations. I thought in that meeting we kind of said, yeah, we're not going to do that, or we're going to stick with this. So I didn't think there was really going to be any changes up north. And I think the only thing that's really in flux now is, whatever the ones are in, maybe Tennessee or which one? Mount Mitchell, is that the only one that was really a concern? It might be closed.
Probably, yes. I don't think there was much of an impact up around the Comer's Rock area.
Yeah.
Um,
So anyway, my recommendation would be just, let's work with the sign up sheet as it is, and just for Mount Mitchell, it's closed. Closed ? I mean, it's up in the air.
Right.
But I think
but
everything
the point
else
is you're going to have a team number 2, whether on Roan or somewhere else. There's still a team number 2 that
right.
somebody can sign up for if they want.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so I guess
the Lord give it, and the Lord taketh away. We had such a good site last year.
Yeah. Do we want to? I mean, I guess. So what are we talking about? We're talking about potentially doing 2 teams for some of the sites. I missed that.
Yeah, that would be great. If you can get 2 teams on a site, absolutely.
So that would be good. But the question is we would definitely need to know what we would like the different teams to be able to accomplish.
Right.
Yeah, because obviously they can't be running in parallel.
Right. Need to coordinate.
They could, but they couldn't,
Right.
Yeah, I got to jump out of here, guys. But
okay. Yeah, I
But
mean,
if prior to the January meeting, we had, I don't know, 90% of this sheet filled in, that would really give us a good kickstart for the January meeting.
Damn right.
Yeah.
It would. Yeah.
It would be nice. I just don't, we can post it that the sign up sheet is out there.
Yeah.
Or, and, with if the link comes available, when Jeff, whenever you put it out there, let me know. I'm sure I'll jump on that GD Hill one.
Yeah.
Well, what we'll do is, I mean, what I'm thinking is that basically we should collaborate on what the document looks like before we post it.
Yeah. Okay.
Make sure we're all in agreement on it. And then as long as that's the case, we'll get it posted ahead of the January meeting, and then that way. And the big problem is, it's like, it's saying the call is going to be on Tuesday, the second Tuesday of the month. You see how many people show up sometimes. Like, some people have other obligations, which is why when we started getting into the help desk sessions, we offered them so many times.
Yeah.
Trying to accommodate people's and even with offering it like 6 to 8 times, we still didn't get everybody.
Yep.
If this sheet is out, Tim's gonna sign up for Katahdin, right? Even if
Sure.
Tim doesn't make the January call, I'm sure he'll sign up for Katahdin. So knowing what's committed and what's not is very useful information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of what ifs. It's going to be, I mean, coming up on 40 years of dealing with military stuff, it's so much like, okay, we need everybody we just can't do that kind of stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
You push people away. There's absolutely no way to you need to be signed up if you're, we can't do, if you're not signed up by this date, you can't participate because, we won't have anybody.
Right.
Yeah,
So
we can't make it militaryist. Yeah.
no, no. Some things we can, like start times and stop times and things like that, because you've got to be able to. Everybody needs to know when everybody's going to be done. But it's just like when did we finish the last site? The week before, I was possibly going to Camelback.
Mm-hmm.
I think later that day or 2 days later, you let me know I'm not going.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, we made so many changes in such a short period of time, and it was like all within the last 72 hours leading up to the event.
That almost had me unbox my no longer
Your
owned
spare.
D710. Yes.